Grail status, a label that I believe many shoe companies would like to put on their sneakers. But the thing about grails is that companies don't get to decide which one of their shoes becomes a grail. We do. The people, the sneakerheads, the casual wearers, the old heads, the resellers, even the hype beast. We the people get to decide what is and isn't a grail. And even though we are the ones with the power, it isn't always easy because everyone has a different opinion on what a grail sneaker is. But I think that if I was to name one shoe that we can all agree on deserves this kind of praise and high status, it would be the shoe that I'm going to talk about in this video. And that shoe is the Air Yeezy 2. This video is a continuation of my other video I did on the Air Yeezy 1, so I recommend you go watch that first if you want to catch up on to where we are in the Air Yeezy timeline. Now, following the release of the Air Yeezy 1, Kanye began immediately working on the next iteration of the Air Yeezy, and unlike the first one which had a big retro focus, the Air Yeezy 2 would instead go in a different direction. Instead of creating another shoe with a retro feel, Kanye instead chose the Air Yeezy 2 to be more fashion oriented and also have a lot more fashion elements. And when you look at the shoe, you can see this in play, and that's why I believe this shoe is praised as much as it is. But while the creating process was rather smooth and successful, the shoe itself has a troubled history regarding its release and the eventual fallout that it caused between Nike and Kanye. Well, the Air Yeezy 1 released back in 2009, the first pairs of the Air Yeezy 2, which were the Wolf Platinum and Solar Red colorway, will not release until the summer of 2012, constantly having their dates changed, and all of this happening while Kanye kept teasing the shoe at different concerts, award shows, and also talk shows. You would think at first that this was Kanye's fault due to his reputation as a difficult person to work with, and if you're a long-standing Kanye fan, I bet you've experienced a date changes or two, but this time it wasn't actually his fault. It was purely Nike's doing that led to the constant pushback of the release. It is also them who is to blame for the very limited run of the Air Yeezy 2s who were shipped to retailers, and as if that wasn't bad enough, with the shoe actually released, Nike decided to do probably the weirdest kind of release that I have ever seen. Despite both shoes actually releasing on the same day, Nike decided to make it so that each shoe released in different parts of the US, with the Air Yeezy 2 Solar Red being shipped to retailers in the East and the Wolf Platinum being shipped to retailers in the West. Only a few selected retailers who were based in Chicago got to release both shoes on the same day, and I'm not sure why Nike decided to do this. Maybe they wanted to space out the limited pairs available, maybe it was a marketing gimmick, maybe there was a problem at the factory, I really do not know. But this is certainly one of the weirdest release plans for any sneaker that I have ever seen. But if you remember correctly, there is a third Air Yeezy 2 that we have not talked about yet. And while there was a lot of hype surrounding the Solar Reds and the Wolf Platinums, nothing, and I mean nothing, would even come close to the hype surrounding the next Air Yeezy 2 that was planned to release, which were the Red Octobers. The Air Yeezy 2 Red Octobers is the most hyped colorway out of all the Air Yeezy 2s, and it is also the most expensive one, with prices starting at around $5,000 and climbing as high as to reach 5 digits. And just like its two siblings, the Red Octobers didn't see a smooth release either and experienced having its release date pushed back constantly. During Kanye's Yeezus tour, Kanye would constantly take shots at Nike CEO Mark Parker for continuously delaying the release of the Red Octobers. He even went as far as accusing Mark Parker of having said that he didn't understand why people were interested in Yeezys to begin with and that they weren't a big deal. These statements and a lot of others eventually created the rift between Kanye and Nike and would eventually result in them parting ways. Many speculate why Nike didn't take Kanye's Yeezy seriously, like they did with their Jordan or other Nike sneakers, and some speculate that it's because Kanye wasn't an athlete, and that's why they didn't see the Air Yeezy line as important like they did with their other shoe lines. The Red Octobers would eventually see the day of release, and you would think that Nike would just do an ordinary release and be done with the shoe. But no. Nike decided for some reason to release the Red Octobers as a surprise drop on their website only. I don't know why they did it. I would also like to think that Kanye asked himself that same question when he heard about the news, but if I was to take a guess, I think that Nike thought, you know what, fuck it, let's just release them and be done with this thing and get it over with. Another big part of the history regarding the Air Yeezy 2s are the amount of sample pairs that were created during the Air Yeezy 2's inception. Usually shoe companies create a couple of sample pairs of the release shoe to test out which colorways they eventually want to go with. The Air Yeezy 2, however, had a bit more sample pairs made. According to some sources in the industry, they claim that besides the 3 that eventually released, around 20 other colorways were created, and of these 20 or so colorways, only 2 pairs of each exist. Following the release of the Red Octobers, the rift between Kanye and Nike became so big that they eventually chose to part ways. And for some people, this would have been a sign to end your fashion career. And when talking about Kanye, well, he is a music artist after all. And he didn't need a presence in fashion as well. But as we all know, this was not the end of the Yeezy legacy. In some ways, it was just the beginning. When looking at the first Air Yeezy and comparing it to the second, you can see the evolution the Air Yeezy went through. While maintaining its retro base and with that the Air Unit midsole and also Nike looking toe cap, you can see how the choices of adding fashion elements melts together with the shoe, like the fox reptilian skin on the side alongside the hieroglyphics placed on the strap which spells YZY, and the falcon on the tongue of the shoe that looks like the Egyptian god Horus, and also the golden anklets were all fresh takes on a sneaker and had never been seen done before. Even though the shoe has garnered a lot of respect and love from many people, its looks is frequently up for debate. Some say that it looks ugly, while others think that it looks great, and this goes for the Air Yeezy 1 as well. As one footwear designer, Brett Golub, would say it, quote, "The first one was a culmination of parts and just felt like a caricature of a shoe, over-animated proportions with a lack of vision, a one-hit wonder to test the market." End quote. These are harsh words indeed, but he did however come around with the Air Yeezy 2. Quote, "It was created to be iconic. It wasn't just a culmination of unique features that spoke to Kanye. It was a full-on, holistic shoe that tested what materials and proportions could be." End quote. The Air Yeezy 2 released in almost the same 3 colorways as its first iteration, besides changing out the tan with a monochrome red. And while these shoes do look good, just like with the Air Yeezy 1, I find the sample pairs, which never saw the day of release, to look much better than what we actually ended up getting. The samples, however, are not locked away in some Nike safe though. They are out there, being sold and resold over and over again. However, unless you have a really good amount of money to spare, I would not count on owning a sample pair in your lifetime. And now we're at my favorite part in the video where I get to give out my own opinion on these shoes, and well, it's a hard one. The Air Yeezy line was the end of an era for West, and even though he moved on to create more popular shoes like the Yeezy Boost 350, the 700s, and even the new 380, this shoe holds a special place in my heart. I do, however, find this shoe to be very, very ugly. I don't know why, it's just not something that I would wear. I mean, the price also kind of scares me off, but I'm not into designer shoes of any kind. I feel like they either do too much or not enough, and the price point of these shoes are something that I would never throw my money after. For the price of this shoe, I can come up with at least 5 other pairs I would rather buy, and chances are I could get all of them for the price of an Air Yeezy 2 in my size. But I do, however, respect what Kanye did with this, and I applaud him for trying to rock both the world of fashion and sneakers one more time before moving over to Adidas. To me, the Air Yeezy 2 is one of those shoes that gets you into the sneaker culture. It's more than just a shoe, it's a statement. A token of sneaker history. And to be honest, I don't think that this shoe should be worn by anyone. If it was up to me, this shoe should be taken and displayed in a cabinet somewhere so that you can look at it and take in all the details and thoughts that went into this shoe. I don't think that I can name a shoe that so many different groups of the sneaker community can come together on and agree that it is special, whether it be because of its history or its price point. The Air Yeezy 2 is just one of those shoes that starts a conversation, and to me, that's what carrying the official status of Grail means. I hope you guys liked the video. Leave a like if you did so, and subscribe if you want to see more. I'm SneakerKlev, and I'll see you in the next video.